Hello everyone, I'm Peak, and welcome back to Peak's World of Wonders. In the last chapter, our protagonist Jasin traveled to the otherworldly realm of an Otome game and met the mysterious heroine for the first time. In this world full of unknowns and challenges, Jasin is trying to adapt to his new identity and abilities. Today, we will begin the story of Chapter 2, where we will see how Jasin faces the upcoming adventures and trials. Let's embark on this magical journey together. Otome Game Rebellion. The world is too real. Chapter 2, A Fateful Reunion. The first ray of morning sunlight pierced through the curtains, gently caressing Jasin's face. He opened his eyes, still somewhat dazed. Last night's experiences felt like a dream, but the unfamiliar surroundings reminded him that it was all real. "I've really come to another world," Jasin muttered, slowly sitting up and looking around. The simple room, with its wooden furniture exuding a faint pine scent, felt both strange and real. He took a deep breath, struggling to accept this new reality. "All right, since I'm here, I have to live well." He silently encouraged himself, determined to adapt to everything. When Jasin went downstairs, Martha was already busy at the counter. Seeing Jasin, she smiled warmly and greeted, "Good morning, Jasin. Did you sleep well?" "Good morning, Martha. I slept very well, thank you." Jasin replied politely, inwardly relieved that he at least remembered how to dress properly. "That's great. Come, have some breakfast first, then I'll introduce you to today's work," Martha said enthusiastically, handing Jasin a plate filled with fresh bread and cheese, the aroma tantalizing. While enjoying the simple yet delicious breakfast, Jasin listened as Martha introduced the daily tasks at the inn. Cleaning rooms, making beds, carrying luggage, and some simple repairs. These tasks didn't sound difficult, but for Jasin, who was still getting used to his new body, each one was a challenge. "By the way, Jasin," Martha suddenly remembered something, "you said yesterday that you can make small items, right?" Jasin nodded, feeling a bit nervous. He hadn't fully mastered his abilities yet and wasn't sure how to explain. Martha continued, "That's great. We have some small decorations in the inn that need repairing. If you have time, could you take a look?" Jasin sighed in relief. This was a good opportunity to demonstrate his ability. "Of course, I'd be happy to help." The morning's work went smoothly. Jasin found that although his new body was stronger than his original one, it would take time to get used to the new muscle groups and balance. He carefully carried luggage, afraid of dropping anything on his feet. While Jasin was focused on wiping a large mirror, he suddenly realized his movements were too graceful, just like when he was Jasmine. He quickly adjusted his posture, trying to mimic masculine movements. As a result, he lost his balance and fell onto the freshly mopped floor. "Ouch!" Jasin exclaimed, more from embarrassment than pain. He hurriedly stood up, only to find a large wet patch on his pants. Just then, a guest walked by, curiously looking at him. Blushing, Jasin stammered an explanation, I was just testing the cleanliness of the floor. It seems very clean." The guest nodded doubtfully and quickly walked away. Jasin breathed a sigh of relief, grateful that no one knew his true identity. At noon, while Jasin was resting, Martha brought him some damaged wooden figurines. "Jasin, could you take a look at these? They are the inn's mascots, but they are quite old and damaged." Jasin took the figurines, examining them closely. These intricate objects reminded him of the BJD dolls he used to make. An idea flashed through his mind. "I can try," Jasin said, "but I'll need a quiet place to work." Martha agreed happily, setting up a small storeroom as a temporary workshop for him. Alone, Jasin took a deep breath and concentrated. He recalled the feeling of making BJDs, imagining how to repair these figurines. Slowly, he felt a strange energy flow from his fingertips. Under his control, the wooden fibers began to regrow, filling the cracks. The broken parts magically reconnected, as if time had reversed. Jasin worked meticulously, carefully controlling every detail. A few hours later, when Martha came to check, she was amazed to find the old figurines restored and even more beautiful than before. "My goodness, Jasin. This is amazing!" Martha exclaimed, "How did you do it?" Jasin smiled shyly, just some small tricks. I'm glad you like it. Martha patted his shoulder, touched. You are a talented young man. I think you'll do very well here. In the evening, while Jasin was tidying up the counter, the inn's door was suddenly thrown open. A figure, wrapped in a tattered cloak, slipped in with the agility of a cat. I need a room, the person said in a low, cautious voice, preferably near the back door. Jasin looked up, ready to respond, but froze when he saw the person's face. Those cold, familiar eyes. It was Justia. She clearly recognized Jasin too, a flicker of surprise in her eyes, quickly replaced by indifference. She started, but then just coldly said, I hope this place can keep secrets. Jasin struggled to stay calm and nodded. Of course, we respect every guest's privacy, he said, handing her a key, room 205, near the back stairs. As Justia turned to leave, Jasin mustered his courage and asked, Do you need help? Justia paused, turning back to look at him. For a moment, Jasin thought he saw a flicker of hesitation in her eyes. But quickly, she returned to her cold expression. No, she replied curtly, quickly heading to the stairs. Jasin watched her disappear around the corner, his mind filled with questions. Fate had intertwined their paths once again, but this time, in what capacity would they meet? What challenges would this mysterious world present them? In the following days, Jasin continued his work while keeping an eye on Justia. She rarely left her room, and when she did, she was always alert, as if avoiding something. Jasin tried to find opportunities to talk to her, but she always coldly refused. However, fate finally gave Jasin a chance. One night, as he was about to finish his shift, he heard faint sounds from Justia's room. Jasin hesitated but knocked on the door. Justia, you all right? There was no response. Worried that something might have happened, Jasin took a deep breath and used the spare key to open the door. As he entered Justia's room, he noticed a strange smell. Justia was sitting on the bed, holding a small bottle containing a peculiar liquid. Hearing the door open, Justia quickly looked up, a flash of anger in her eyes. How dare you come in without permission, she snapped, quickly hiding the bottle behind her. Jasin raised his hands in a gesture of innocence. I'm sorry, I heard sounds and was worried something might have happened. I'm just here to help. Justia's expression softened slightly but remained cautious. I don't need help. Please leave immediately. At that moment, a commotion erupted outside the inn. Jasin went to the window and saw a group of armed men searching the streets. Justia's expression turned serious. Damn, they've found me. Who are they? Jasin asked cautiously. Justia hesitated, weighing whether to tell Jasin. Finally, she said briefly, bounty hunters. Rough knocking and shouting echoed from downstairs. Justia quickly packed her things. I need to leave. Jasin hesitated. I might be able to help you. Justia looked at him skeptically. You? How? Jasin took a deep breath and concentrated. Several lifelike puppets appeared in the room. Justia watched in astonishment. What is this? Jasin briefly explained his ability. We can use these puppets to create a diversion, giving you time to escape. Justia looked thoughtful, the wariness in her eyes slightly diminishing. You're not from this world either, you? Jasin was surprised. How do you know? Instinct, Justia replied shortly, but now's not the time to discuss this. If you're really going to help, we need to act fast. They quickly formulated a plan. Jasin controlled the puppets to run around the inn, creating chaos, while Justia took the opportunity to escape through the window. When they finally escaped to the forest outside the city, both were exhausted, leaning against a large tree to catch their breath. Thank you, Justia said, a tone less cold than before. Your ability is quite special. Jasin nodded. So is yours. I saw some strange bottles in your room. Are they some kind of special potion? Justia looked at him warily but didn't directly deny it. She was silent for a while, then said, Those are my tools. Jasin, curious, asked, Tools? For treating wounds? Justia chuckled, a complicated look in her eyes, treating. You could say that. But more often, they are used to solve problems. Jasin nodded thoughtfully, realizing that Justia's words carried deeper meanings, but wisely chose not to press further. After a while, she asked, "Why did you help me?" Jasin thought for a moment, maybe. Because I feel like we're similar. Both lost in this strange world. Justia looked at him thoughtfully. You're right. It seems. We have a lot to understand about each other. So, Jasin cautiously asked, what should we do next? Justia sighed, for now, we keep running. But maybe we can help each other find out why we're here. Jasin nodded, smiling slightly. Sounds like a plan. As the first rays of sunlight filtered through the trees, the two figures quietly left, disappearing into the morning mist. Though still maintaining a certain distance, they knew that from this moment on, their fates were intertwined. In the following days, Jasin and Justia carefully moved through the forest, avoiding main roads and populated areas. Their relationship remained cautious, but over time, their mutual wariness began to ease. One night, as they camped in a hidden cave, Justia finally spoke, "Since we're both not from here, can you tell me more about your original world?" Jasin nodded, his expression becoming serious. "I've been wondering how to bring this up. Do you have any memories of your origins?" Justia thought for a moment. "I have some vague memories. I know I don't belong here, but I'm not sure where I come from. What about you? Do you remember your past?" Jasin hesitated, then decided to be honest. "This might sound crazy, but in my original world, everything here is part of a game." Justia frowned. "A game? What do you mean?" Jasin explained, "An Otome game, a type of video game where the player takes on the role of a female protagonist, interacting with various characters to find true love." Justia thought, "So I'm a character in this game?" Jasin nodded. "Theoretically, yes. But you are very different from the character in the game. In the game, you are an optimistic, kind healer, not a cold-blooded killer." Justia finished with a cold smile. Jasin nodded awkwardly. Justia was silent for a while, then said, "I remember wanting to be a healer when I was little. But life changed me." Jasin looked at her with sympathy. "I'm sorry to hear that." Justia shook her head. "No need for sympathy. Everyone has their own way of surviving." She paused. "So, what about you? What did you do in your original world?" Jasin smiled. "I was a doll maker. I made BJD dolls, a very delicate type of jointed doll." Justia looked at him thoughtfully. "That explains your ability. You can control puppets because you understand their every joint and movement." Jasin nodded. "I think so. But here, this ability has become more magical and powerful." At that moment, they heard distant barking and human voices. "Damn," Justia cursed softly, "they've caught up." Jasin asked warily, "What should we do?" Justia quickly packed her things. "We need to split up. It will increase our chances of getting away." Jasin hesitated, "But we've just started understanding each other." Justia looked at him, complex emotion in her eyes. "I know, but right now, we both have more important things to do. You need to learn about this world, and I haven't finished business." Jasin nodded. Although reluctant, he understood Justia's decision. "So, how do we meet again?" he asked. Justia thought for a moment, then handed him a small bottle from her bag. "This is my special perfume. If you smell this, you'll know I'm nearby. We can meet at the central square of the capital city, 30 days from today, at dusk." Jasin took the bottle and nodded. "All right, 30 days from now at dusk. I'll remember." Justia added, "The central square of the capital is easy to find. Even if you arrive early or late, I'll wait for you there." Jasin solemnly said, "I understand. The central square of the capital, 30 days from now at dusk. I'll be there." They quickly parted ways. As Jasin took one last look back, Justia's figure had already disappeared into the night. He took a deep breath and ran in the opposite direction. Although alone again, this time was different. He knew there was someone with a similar experience in this strange world. And they had a promise to meet again. Jasin embarked on his journey to explore this world, filled with anticipation for his reunion with Justia in a month. However, just as he was about to leave the edge of the forest, a breeze brought a faint, familiar yet strange scent. He stopped abruptly, sniffing carefully. The scent. Was it the perfume Justia had given him, mixed with a faint, bitter undertone? As Jasin puzzled over this, the sound of urgent hoofbeats came from afar. He hid behind a large tree, watching as a group of knights galloped past. The leading knight's chest bore a peculiar emblem, glowing eerily green in the moonlight. The knights quickly disappeared into the night, but the image of that emblem was etched into Jasin's mind. He felt he had seen a similar symbol somewhere before but couldn't recall where. With many questions in mind, Jasin continued his journey. Unbeknownst to him, in a dark corner of the capital, a pair of mysterious eyes watched his image in a crystal ball, a meaningful smile playing on the lips. "I see," a deep voice murmured, "it seems the game has just begun." That's the end of Chapter 2. Did you enjoy it? Want to know what happens after our protagonists part ways? Who was that mysterious person spying on them at the end? What other secrets does Justia hold? Stay tuned for the next chapter as we uncover these mysteries together. Remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell to get the latest story updates. See you next time.